think it's an example to others. Thank you.
Concerning the question of replicating the model, that we brought to Albania in cooperation with Italy, this is something that I've said from the outset. It is a model that takes its time to be tested. And if it works, it can be replicated, but not in Albania, in other countries of the region, where if the model results with a positive outcome, there is no reason that other countries should not offer their availability for that. I would also like to mention something that the Prime Minister touched upon. We talked about the summit slated to take place in London in October. Is it October? Yes. Under the Berlin process, where the UK is going to be the host of the process. And regardless of the fact that the Berlin process is one that has been built within the realms of the EU under the leadership of Chancellor Merkel to foster regional cooperation, the benefits of integration, including the EU1, we consider that it's going to be highly positive and value that during the London summit, the countries of the region have a window of exchange when it comes to relations between the UK and the Western Balkans concerning economic and trade cooperation. To enhance British investments in the region, as well as concerning mentioned, that is the extending of this cooperation we have against the criminal activity. Have a regional network that is in sync with the law enforcement structures in the UK, in order to make sure that this whole area is one where the activity of criminal networks dealing in human trafficking is fully under control.
Chris.
Christopher Hope, GB News. Prime Minister Edi Rama, you sound there like you're ruling out hosting an offshore processing centre for the UK, for migrants who arrive in the UK. Is that right, or are you willing to have this model for the UK to support our attempt at dealing with this illegal migration crisis? And to you, Sir Keir Starmer, you are in talks about return hubs. We've learnt that today with a number of countries. Which countries are you talking to? And when will the first migrants be sent overseas to be processed? And will it see migrant hotels emptying more quickly than currently?
You got it right. I have been very clear since day one when we started this process with Italy that this was one-off with Italy because of our very special relation, but also the situation which makes a lot of sense and very frank with by several countries if we were open to it, and we said no, because we are loyal to the marriage with Italy, and the rest is just love.
Chris, in relation to your question to me, yes, we are in talks with a number of countries about return hubs, and I see them as a really important innovation, and with the work that we've done in relation to UK Albania, reduction in numbers, the work that we've done on law enforcement arrangements with other countries, the return agreements that we've put in place, the record number of returns, and what I'd like to do is add return hubs to that. We are in those talks, and therefore at the appropriate time I'll be able to give you further details in relation to it. In relation to the asylum hotels, I think it's really important to be absolutely clear as to why we have the problem that we have, and that is because the last government ran an open borders experiment, and on top of that didn't process the claims of asylum seekers, and therefore tens of thousands of asylum seekers in the UK were in limbo because they weren't processed, they couldn't be sent back, or dealt with if their application was successful. They're literally an ever-expanding pool put into hotels at taxpayers' expense. And that is the inheritance, the mess that we have to pick up. The way through that is obviously to do the work that we're doing to stop people coming illegally to the United Kingdom, which is why this summit, the work we've done with Albania and other countries is so vitally important, but also to process the claims so we can return people who shouldn't be in the United Kingdom. And I'm really pleased that we've rolled up our sleeves, got on, and now returned 24,000 people who had no right to be in the United Kingdom. That's the highest number for nearly 10 years, and we'll continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris McKeon, Press Association. A question to both of you gentlemen on Ukraine. Vladimir Putin has declined to attend peace talks in Turkey today. Is there any hope for a ceasefire in Ukraine, and what is your message to Vladimir Putin?
Let me take this head on, because what's happened today is further evidence that it's Putin who is dragging his feet. It is Putin who is causing the delay in a ceasefire. Ukraine has long been clear, several months ago now, that they would have a 30-day unconditional ceasefire, and we have long said that it's Putin who is standing in the way of that peace. He was the aggressor in the first place. There was only one country that started this conflict, that was Russia, that was Putin. There's only one country now standing in the way of peace, and that is Russia, that is Putin. We had a good meeting in Kyiv last Saturday, where we managed to get a whole a wide group of countries into a supportive position for a ceasefire with sanctions if not. We now have the opportunity tomorrow at the EPC to continue our work to bring about a ceasefire. But for me, this is evidence of the point I've made repeatedly, which is that it's Putin that is dragging his heels. That is why we need all nations to line up together as allies to ensure we get the ceasefire that is so desperately needed, but also to ensure that we have sanctions in place should Putin continue down this path of dragging his heels and not coming to the table for the ceasefire.
I would inform you that you are in a country that since the change of the regime from a dictatorship to democracy 35 years ago, no Russian president or prime minister has put foot, and no one from here has flight to Russia. And we don't miss it, and we are not looking to change it, frankly. But this is a long story that is related to our history with the Soviet Union and Russia. This being said, I want to add that we have been all the way on the side of Ukraine and will continue to be. We are aware that although the country might have the tallest prime minister in NATO, it doesn't have the strength and the weight of many other countries to play any type of major or determining role. But on the other hand, we should not forget that we are blessed to be born in the continent of enlightenment and in a space of humanity where the dream of perpetual peace was born, and Europe itself is a project that has been always driven for peace. So while we do everything to make sure that we have the strength to protect our freedom and our values, we also should never give up in the search for peace. And of course, sometimes it looks very unfair, but it's the nature of being Europeans and of being on the side of humanity and not of barbarism, to look for peace even with barbarians. Thank you.
Elia
Zota from Clan TV. So the first question to Prime Minister Starmer. Your predecessors in government held very strong views and stances against the Albanian community. Sometimes they were very humiliating and denigrating. By not clearly making a distinction between those Albanians who live with dignity and honorably by paying taxes and being good and law-abiding citizens, and perhaps few who are involved in criminal activities. And given the fact that you are the first prime minister, serving prime minister to visit Albania since we established the diplomatic relations, is it not high time that Britain actually apologizes for the way Albanians have been treated? And Prime Minister Rama, concretely, could you tell us exactly what this agreement on defense will be focusing on? And the British Prime Minister also mentioned the manufacturing of military vehicles, but could you be more specific, please? Thank you.
Look, I think the fact that I'm the first British Prime Minister to be here in Albania having a bilateral meeting should be seen as a statement to the regard that I hold Albania and this Prime Minister, Eddie, in and the nature and strength of our relationships. And I won't comment on previous Prime Ministers in the the hard yards of actually dealing with the problems that we have to address. I'd rather not shout about a challenge and a problem. I'd rather roll up my sleeves and seriously and pragmatically get on with solving it. And that, I think, is what we've proved in the last few months and years has been a much more effective way of dealing with the issues, including the joint work we saw today on law enforcement, which deals with very real issues of cross-border crime. We can't pretend that they're not there. But then equally, the training with the troops this afternoon, which is a moment I think we're both very proud of, that our troops and militaries are working together in that way. Thank you.
Well, but we have to be fair and to not forget that it was not any British Prime Minister that did anything to offend the Albanians and to single out the Albanians. There were few other individuals that did it, but there's no excuse to ask because they were taken out from the British people by vote. So cursing the Albanians was not a good idea because the curse went back and they are now out of the parliament. So it's enough. We don't need more than that. And on the other hand, I have to say that what we have said repeatedly is that we are now in a new era, and that's why the government is in a new phase in terms of building up the and what we are doing with a great ally with an incredible knowledge, let alone the money, although they always complain, the Brits, that they don't have enough money, but I wish they knew that they are very rich. No, really. I wish they knew how rich they are. And we are very honored to have this partnership, hopefully starting with producing vehicles that will serve, of course, our common purposes, and then from there to more the merrier. So this is the understanding, and I want to again underline that for us it's a big honor to have the British Prime Minister visiting our country, and as Keir said, is the most important, the most profound, and the most appreciated gesture of respect and of high consideration for our small country. So we look forward to build more on walls and make a strong building of our relation. Thank you so much, and enjoy Tirana. As I said to the Prime Minister, we are fighting to make sure tomorrow you have Albania weather, not London weather. But if it will be rain, you'll take the blame.
Thank you.